Rent sucks, but what if you just stopped paying it? That's what I did, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Let me paint the picture. It's 2020, I'm working 2 jobs, 80 hours a week, and then something crazy happens. The pandemic. Now, for a lot, that was pretty crap. But for me, that was actually a blessing in disguise because I lost my job. But it left me with a lot of time to think. I was pretty sick of paying rent. I was pretty sick of working. So I thought, fuck it. What if I just didn't? I ended up going on a road trip and met someone who matched my crazy. And we decided to get this and try and make that work. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time, and I wanted to move to Portland where I'd met this girl. So we decided we would take this car from Portland, drive it all the way down the south, back to Washington, D.C. where I live, pick up all my crap, and drive all the way back around to Portland. And we did that over about 5 months. And we continued to live out of the car for about a year. Now, I learned a lot from that. I've wanted to make this video for a long time. It's 5 years since, and I have actually moved back into a house, but man, did I learn a lot about living out of an SUV on the road, and I have really spent some time refining that process and how to do it right. So I made this video because I want to show you how to live in your SUV in America. Hopefully this video will give you some tips and tricks to make it a little easier for you and you don't make some of the mistakes that I did. So yes, the van life is everything you think it is. It is out on the road, it's magical, you're seeing so much, it's peaceful, it's bliss, but not without over $8,000 of car repairs, some wet nights, some hot nights, some sandy days, some terrible sleeps, and a lot of nights in Walmart car parking lots. And rest areas like this. Now I'm a little smarter and a little wiser. Here's my tips for living out of your SUV in America. But first, let's pack. So now that we've seen what you need to pack, I'm going to give you my tips for living out of your SUV, starting on a list of priorities. And priority number 1, it's the reason we're all doing this, to avoid rent, but we need somewhere to sleep, somewhere to go rest for the night. That is the number 1 problem that's going to give you the most stress. You're going to be finding spots in the dark, driving down roads that shouldn't exist, going to places you've never been before, and it's all going to be kind of stressful. So number 1 is figuring that out. I use an app or a website called freecampsites.net. There's a lot of stuff out there. I used to also use an app, iOverlander, that would tell you where showers and things like that were. There's stuff out there. Find where you need to camp. There's usually good reviews on freecampsites.net. You can see photos that people have posted. You can really suss out a good spot from that. So once you have the spot in mind, maybe have some backup spots just in case, and do it while you have reception. What I like to do is I will get the directions to the location and I will share those directions to someone in my contacts so that I don't have to go back into the website and find the campsite again. I can just click that shared directions and it will, or those directions that have been shared, and it will pop up. Also, I recommend downloading maps, Google Maps offline so you can use them, and save the locations of the camps. Name them if you want. so that you don't have to worry about that later, because you're going to run out of reception and it's going to be way worse if you haven't done that ahead of time. So once you've found your camp, I want to show you some of my tips and tell you what I do to make sleep better for myself and how I prepare for sleeping in the car. All right, we did it. We found somewhere to sleep. So here's a couple of my tips for sleeping in your SUV. Starts with number 1. Space inside your car is absolutely precious. I don't want to see people building fucking beds in their car if they've got an SUV and they can't stand in it. If you can't stand in the back of your car, do not build a bed in it. Your space is so precious in here. You have to have space that is mobile and flexible. If you build a bed, you cut out half of all of the space you can use just so you can have some fancy drawers you've seen on Instagram. No, don't do it. You need flexible space. I just have this mattress topper right here. All the stuff goes on top of it. At the end of the night, you move the stuff. It means you have plenty of space in the back when you need it. So, step 1, now that we've found the camp, we need to get bed ready. We've got to prepare a little bit, but that's okay. You're on the road, you have plenty of time, you're enjoying yourself. So let's get to moving and organizing some of the stuff so we can have a nice night's sleep. Now, the first and most important thing with doing this is you've got to think about necessity. What are the things that you're likely to need the soonest throughout the night or in any time in general, and how easily are you going to be able to access them? So the way the back is set up here, I've got all my clothes and shoes under here, and I've got any accessory stuff here. I've got all my camera stuff, a backpack that I use throughout the day, and I'm going to put that on the front driver's seat. There's a system to this. I'm putting my camera stuff at the bottom because I usually don't really need to get at it, or whatever I do need to get at, I've already got at. And then I'll put my backpack on top, and anything that I need to get to from there is really easy to grab at. So let's do that. So of course, really important part of sleep is making sure it's not super bright out and you can actually go to sleep. There's a couple of hacks that I have found over time that make this a lot easier. One, of course, anything to cover the front. I'll show you this one, it's really cool, but anything works. This one's nice because it packs up really small. Some of those big foldable things, they're huge and they're everywhere. As you can see, we've got a lot of bugs. So these are awesome for keeping this back little area nice and curtained, but they also double as a great storage for these little magnetic window covers. Now let me show you how they work. It's easy as that, they're magnetic. Now this is starting to look like a bed. That's a pretty nice space to sleep. Alright, we are set up. This is what the back looks like at night after we've packed away. We have all the essentials at hand. We got water right here in a camelback. It makes it easier to drink and you don't have to go hunting for a water bottle under your stuff. We've got a fan that's portable attached to a portable battery, so it can go all night because it's hot as fuck here. We have paper towels attached to a little bungee cord there. Little book lights in case you need electrolyte. This here, this magical beauty, is a bug light with a regular light. It's nice to have some light inside, but also a bug light helps because it attracts all the bugs when you get them inside. Just remember to turn it on after you've closed the doors because its main job is to attract bugs. We got all of the curtains up, so we're nice and shaded, preventing sun in the morning. I highly recommend, if you can, get some rope or something that you can string around the top of your car that you can hang things off it. It is one of the best ways to make things accessible and save space. Most important thing when you're living in the car is to maximize the amount of space you have, the flexibility and fluidity of it, and to be able to access things easy. There's not a ton of space you're working with, so you need to make sure you can make the most of it and that you can still get to the stuff you need easy. So I've got everything kind of hanging here. Carabiners are also like an absolute must. As you can see, I kind of have carabiners everywhere and all sorts of things that hang, but of course I hang my keys up at night right next to me. It means it's easy to unlock and lock. I got these baskets at the dollar store. Things fell through, so I taped them up. But I've got 2 of them. They hang. You know, my light hangs on a carabiner. This is just like stuff for camping, so I don't have to go looking for it. I have 2 hammocks hanging right now. Don't judge me, but you can never have enough hammocks. A tool. I have a pen that's also a window buster. Pepper spray, and as you can see, it all kind of hangs around. I have this knife that's also on a carabiner. Anything that you can hang. Also, you know, if you're not afraid of destroying the roof of your car, some Velcro is pretty handy as well. You can Velcro anything you need up. I actually just hang my iPad over here. As you can see, it's hanging nice, and yeah, this is car living. Let me know if you would do anything different in here, if you've got any suggestions where I can make this better. I spent over a year refining the process and trying to make this as comfortable as possible, so let me know if I can do better. Another really critical thing for nighttime while living in the car is making sure you have a good headlamp. I like to have 2 of them, so that way you can offer one to a friend, or if you're staying with someone else, you both have a headlamp, because there's nothing worse than only one person having a headlamp and having to share. The second part of that is, I'm not a big fan of the AA battery headlamps. I just think just get rechargeable ones that you can use with USB chargers. That way, whatever else you have to charge in the car, you can also charge these. The other important thing is to make sure that you have a pretty good light for outside, like a stable light that you can sit somewhere and use. I love this thing. So this light, it's bright as hell, but it's super mobile, as you can see. It twists around, it's magnetic feet, and it's got a handle, so you can hold it to show where you're going. You can stick it on anything metal. You can also sit it on a table or on the ground, but it works awesome, especially if you're in a car and you need to hold a light. Also, if you don't want big lights or those bright white fluorescent lights, these little book reading lights are perfect. You can clip them on anywhere. They charge, they're portable, clip them anywhere in your car. You've got a nice little soft yellow light. So one thing that is super essential for living on the road is making sure you have the right electricity and portable batteries. So at night, you're going to need to be charging things. You're going to be using a lot of electricity, and you probably can't charge it off your car because you don't want to kill your battery. So I have these 2 portable batteries. They're solar powered, which helps if you're in a pinch. You can charge them, but I usually just charge them on the car when I'm going. And what's awesome is at the end of the day, I can use these to charge my other devices. So I don't have to worry about charging this lantern during the day, or charging the fan during the day, or charging all the random little things. Instead, I charge them at night with this, or when I need to, and I charge these from my car while I'm driving or doing things in the middle of the day. The awesome thing about these is they have all of the cords built into them. But it's super handy having the cords built in, because it allows you to be able to use that without having to also try and find a cord. But electricity and power is your best friend at night. And if you've got little batteries that you can just charge and use them at night to charge everything, then you're sweet. That's pretty much all of it. Just make sure you got bugs sorted, temperature sorted, and the light sorted. So make sure none of those, you got something to zap the bugs, or some way to keep them off you, some way to keep your temperature regulated, and some way to keep the light out, so you can have a good sleep, because sleep is the most important thing for your health, mental, physical, and otherwise. So keep that in check. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow morning when we'll do the rest. All right, now we move on to priority number 2, food or cooking. How is it gonna happen? Well, everyone has a bit of a different situation, but there's a couple of things that I think can make it much easier, especially if you happen to be in an SUV like me. Remember, this is all about how you do it in an SUV. A little different when you have a van and you have a whole cooking situation. In the SUV, you're pretty tight on space, so it's really important to get some of these things right so that you have enough space and you have enough accessibility. I just have an old milk crate that I put everything in. First and foremost is your cooking stove. Don't go buying the double burner stove with the extra gas thing. It's huge. It takes up so much space. You have to have a bunch of space to put it on. It's like no one needs 2 burners. If you need to make your coffee and your food at the same time for breakfast, get a kettle that you plug into your car. Don't get 2 burners. It's so senseless. That's luxury camping. You are going to be on the road all the time trying to make it work. 1 stove is all you need. One of these stoves are the best things in existence, I swear. Super small, 1 burner. You only need these tiny gas canisters, so you don't have to have a huge thing. These are like $3. They'll last you plenty of meals, probably 20 or so. This thing is like impervious to wind. They're super indestructible. They're really easy to clean. You just take this thing off. The awesome thing is it's tiny as well, really easy to grab. And this little case can double as a windshield. So I've seen so many people struggle with the double burners. This thing will outperform that any day. Next up is going to be your tools. So the easiest way I've found to carry my tools is this is just a little knife bag. You know, chefs have their little knife bags that they carry things in. I put everything in here. Got a can opener, really essential. Now, you can have fancy display of all sorts of utensils, but the reality is you're gonna lose half of it wherever. It's gonna end up under a chair, whatever it is. So I just have a mix match of whatever. I like to have some plastic things because if it comes to it and I need to just throw it away, it's awesome. But I'll still wash them because I wanna reuse them. I wanna get out a lot of life out of them. What's really important, of course, is a good knife. Now, I usually have a bigger knife, but a small knife will do fine. What is crucial, though, with this knife is to make sure that you have something to sharpen it. I just have this little sharpener here, and I use that for my knife because your knives are going to get blunt. They're going to be carried around in all sorts of places, not have sleeves on them. Helps if you have a little sleeve as well. But next, I have this corded off spice container. It's got a sort of garlic blend, salt, pepper, and garlic powder. That's kind of all I feel like I really need. From there, I have some simple utensils, something to keep it warm. If you want to keep your food warm for a while, or even just a little bit of water, this will keep it hot for a long time. I've just got a little collapsible container. Remember, anything that you can do to save space is awesome. So I get 2 bowls out of this, which I love. One other crucial thing is to make sure that you have a really good non-stick pan, because the easier this is to clean, the easier life is. Trust me, you don't want a pan that doesn't fucking clean when you're out in the middle of the woods and your hands are cold and it's hard to clean. You want something that cleans out real easy. Look at this. Boom. Easy as that. I'm gonna give it a real clean. That's to show you how easy it can be to clean up. And the next stage, of course, it's all well and good to have a bunch of utensils and stuff to cook, but how the hell do you keep things clean? Now, this is probably one of the most crucial elements of the cooking, apart from the stove, and that's how do you do the dishes. So after a year of living out of the car and trying to figure this out, I've come up with a system. And of course, I love my collapsible tubs. So I have these collapsible things. Everything that's collapsible is awesome. Anything that can save you space. So what I have is these 2 collapsible tubs. This one holds water. You can drain it with this little button here. What I'll do with this is I'll heat up a bit of hot water and put it in here, and I'll let the dishes sit in there. Or if I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to do the dishes, I'll keep my dishes in there until I plan to finally do them. Then what I do is I have this, which is like a rinsing tray. And what I'll do is I'll sit that wherever I can. I actually have a tub that I use, but you put your dishes in here, give them a quick rinse. Your dishes will stay pretty awesomely clean doing that. I actually have 2 more methods of cleaning up, so there's 3 in total. And they kind of go in process of how lengthy they are. The first one, if I'm in a rush, I'm just going to use my antiseptic wipes and just wipe stuff out because I just need to keep moving. The second step, which I'll show you here, I have this little brush here that has soap and water in here. It does leak a bit, but I kind of like that because I just fill this up with this little soap, this Castile soap. This is like all-purpose soap. It's awesome. You can use it for laundry, you can use it for dishes, you can use it for body soap, shampoo, all of that. And I've done all of that and it works. Anyway, I put a bit in here with a little bit of water and I will just use that to wash and then rinse it off in the car. The third stage is when I have a few more dishes and I'll fill up the tub and I'll wash and rinse everything, and it's a bit more of a process. The thing I love about this is it's all collapsible. Everything that can save space is gonna save you so much. Of course, it's nice to have a plate, a cutting board, maybe a spare cutting board in case one's dirty. And of course, more collapsible things, anything that's collapsible. The awesome thing with this is if I've just got a little bit in here and I want to save some space, boom, I've got just that I can use as a container. So it's very versatile. Of course, some crucial housekeeping items to always have on you is some antibacterial wipes, or something to wipe with, wet wipes. Sometimes when I'm really lazy, I'll use these to clean the dishes instead. Some trash or garbage or rubbish bags to put stuff in, and something to clean up with. This is more so for dirt and dust in the car, but it's nice to have something like this just in case. Also, you want to have some paper towels. I have them hooked on a bungee cord in the car. Now, it's all well and good to have all this stuff and be excited to cook meals and you're on the road, but let's be real here. This is a bit of a pipe dream on the road. The reality is you're more likely to be doing stuff like this. Because let's face it, when you're on the road, you don't have a lot of time, your stuff is going off all the time, you're always on the next adventure, you always have dishes, it's hard to wash them, it's hard to have water to use. So the reality is you're gonna end up eating out a lot more than you think you will. This is one of the things that I think people don't understand about van life or living out of your car. It's actually gonna be a bit more expensive than you think. Between the cost of fuel and driving anywhere, the cost of keeping your car in good standard, and the cost of honestly getting takeaway food, because there's going to be times you've been driving all day, or you've just been hiking all day, or doing all this sort of stuff, and you don't want to cook, and you don't want to make a bunch of dishes and then have to throw them in the front seat. So you're going to end up doing something like this. And that's okay. Just recognize that that's a reality. All right. And lastly, we have survival stuff or emergency kit. Now, why lastly? Because ideally, you don't have to use this. You only should need these in an emergency. So they should be the last thing on your mind, but you should always have this stuff just in case. I have a couple of essentials here. I have a shovel. It's good for digging, it's collapsible, nice, of course, space saving. It's got a little saw on the edge if I need it. I have a flare if you happen to need that. I have fire extinguisher liquid. I have an axe. Now, you don't need a ton of blades or a ton of fancy stuff. You don't need a saw. If you've got an axe, you've got a blade. What's important is you also have something to sharpen your axe, because you can have the cheapest axe in the world or the most expensive axe in the world, but if it's not sharp, it's not doing shit. So this is just a $10 Walmart axe, but because I sharpen it regularly, it performs just like other axes might. Of course, an emergency car starter kit is crucial in case your battery dies. There's nothing that you can do if it's too dead though. So, you know, keep that in mind. Don't let your battery fully die. I've got a tire inflator here. It's always good to check your tires and make sure that they're at a good stage. And lastly, I have a bag here of just some rope in case you need it. And I have a life straw. In the dire emergency that I need to drink water and I don't happen to have any, a life straw is really handy. Now, I keep all of this stuff in the top part of my car because if for some reason I happen to be locked out of the car, I can always access the stuff in the top. So it's nice to know that I have this stuff available. Now, I'll go over a couple of extra things that are just nice to have, not necessary, but they make living in the car much more comfortable. So first is having some Windex wipes and this long-reaching arm to wipe the window because you're going to get a lot of fog in the morning. Of course, these little pockets in the side of the car are super handy for everything you might need. I have here something for towing, sanitizer, soap, 2 spare toothbrushes, rope. This is a little emergency kit as well. It's got flint in there, tissues, rope. Over here we've got fire starters, some surfboard wax, a red light in case I don't want to sensitize my eyes, a little emergency first aid kit, sunscreen, some painkillers, and of course some bear spray. We are in bear country pretty frequently. So it's also nice to have just a little travel bag that you can zip up or zips up nicely. I also have this in a backpack version. Now, for doing the dishes, I have this lovely invention. And it's basically just a shower bag. I turn this on, boom, I've got running water. This thing is awesome. Of course, it's really essential to make sure that you have a good cooler. I got this from Walmart for like 70 bucks, but I've used it for almost 5 years now and it is impervious. Make sure that you're draining the liquid every morning. And the key to keeping things cool in a cooler or esky is to make sure that it's as full as it can be. However you can fill up that space, it keeps things cooler in there. Another quick tip for living in your SUV and trying to find the right car is a door hatch that opens like this is absolutely crucial. If you're in a truck with a tailgate that pops down, sure, you got an extra seat, but you don't really need it. If you got a door that opens like that, it's kind of annoying. This doubles as a shelter when you're outside. If you want to stand up your table here and cook and move, you got everything that you need. Again, don't go building a bed with pull-out drawers and stuff like that. Just get a table that folds and put it out. It's not hard to do. The usefulness that you have from a pull-out drawer that doubles as a table, I guarantee will not be as useful as the comfort is to have more space in your bed and to have flexibility to move things around. Please do not build a bed in an SUV. Look, this life isn't for everyone. It's not clean. It's not always comfortable, but it is an adventure and it's liberating. So let me tell you some of the best and some of the worst things with living out of an SUV. Starting with the worst, you cannot avoid the weather. You can stay in your car, but when it's raining, the only place you have to be is in your car or in some other location. The other thing is you really don't have a lot of space to stretch out. Kind of locked within your car or outside, and they're your options. The other thing is you will never be clean like you will be in a home. Everything will always be a little bit dirty. There's always going to be maybe a bit of sand somewhere. You're always going to feel like your clothes are just a little bit dirty, or your shoes are just a little bit gross, or your towel is just a little bit gross. It's just part of living literally outside. You're going to be dirty, and that's something you have to deal with. It's hard to get showers all the time. Being on the road, doing things, you might miss a couple days here and there. The other worst thing is it is hard to feel like you can really fully relax, like to just get comfortable. The advantage of being in a house and a couch is that it stays there, it's comfortable, you can clean it, and it stays clean. When you're in the car, you kind of feel like you're always on the move, and you can't ever really like fully relax, especially when your sleeping situation is changing, nightly. So, keep that in mind. Again, your sleeping and where you find a spot to camp is going to be the most stressful part of the whole experience. Depending where you are in the US, or if you happen to be doing this elsewhere, obviously sleep is one of the most important things that you can look after as a human. If you don't get it right, it's gonna suck. And the reality is when you're out on the road, one of the things that you give up is a safe, stable place that you can constantly sleep at. So you're gonna be always moving, you're gonna never know where your sleep is, you're gonna be tired. Those things are just going to happen. And that's a fact of the matter. Okay, but what's the best about living in your car? One, the amount of stuff you'll see. You are always having novel experiences. You are filled up. Your cup is full. Time almost flies by because you're just constantly on the move. You're constantly doing things. The other is you'll meet a ton of people and have these really unique, weird experiences, things that you would never have guessed will happen. You'll end up in places you never would have thought you would just because you needed to find a place to sleep. You'll meet the coolest people with the most unique stories that have some really cool thing to share. You will understand yourself and the world that we live in a way deeper level than you ever had before. You will also, both beautifully and unfortunately, have this bug in you now. You will always know in the back of your mind, whether you're in a house or not, that you can just pick up and go and stay in your car. And honestly, that's a nice comfort, but the temptation is real. And it's hard to sit in a job or work a job, 5 days a week and to go back to work and to have to reckon with the fact that you knew a life that was once so free and liberating. I think that this will help you discover what you want to do and who you want to be more than any other way. Now, this isn't to say that everyone should go quit their job and move into an SUV and go travel around the US or wherever you are. It's not for the faint of heart. It is difficult. It's almost equally as difficult as it is fun. So this isn't just some holiday vacation that you go on. If you want a luxury and a vacation, do it temporarily and go to one of your fancy all-included resorts. This is not that. It will stress you out. It will be tough some days. It will be awesome some days. It will be unpredictable. Most importantly, it will be unpredictable. But that's the beauty of it. The other beautiful thing about van life or this SUV life is when you do eventually move into a house, you will appreciate some things like no one else can. And I say this with so much love in my heart because I've now moved back into a home, and the love that I have for a dishwasher, for a laundry machine in the place that I live, for fresh sheets, for lights that I don't have to charge, for a kitchen that I can cook in and has everything that I need, a fridge that I don't have to fill with ice. The appreciation that I have for the luxuries that we get in this world is like no other. And honestly, that is probably the most beautiful thing about this whole experience. The appreciation that I have for life after doing this is like no other. And I just hope that all for you. Anyway, if you're thinking of doing something like this, or you think I'm just crazy, let me know down below. Let me know if you've done it. Let me know if you have plans to do it soon. Also, let me know if you want me to share anything else about car living. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope that you've learned something and that you're prepared to go out on your own adventure in your car and live your best life. This is Lucky Living. Thanks for watching.